Hello, I am Dell with Healing Frequencies Music, which most of you know by now, otherwise you wouldn't be here on this YouTube channel. I'm going to do a slight follow-up on a video I did 2 years ago. It's called, Is Freedom of Speech Really Free? And again, I'm going to take that and look at it from a different angle. And I talk about a lot of things that I'm saying today in my blog post. So I'm going to put a link below this to the blog page. And you can scroll down, look for anything that has to do with thoughts, intents. Epigenetics would be another one to look at. There's just a variety of blog posts that I have that address some of the things I'm going to say right now. It'll be short, sweet, and to the point. The problem with free speech is that we get to live out the consequences of what comes out of our mouth. Now, whether we realize that or not, there is truth. Our words have a boomerang effect. What comes out is going to come back at us in some form. The number one thing is all of our words start as a thought. Then we frame them into some form of an intention, whether it's conscious or unconscious. That means we're building a desire. We're creating something with it. Again, either conscious or unconscious. And then there's an action that follows. That's a threesome that works together. Your thoughts, your intents, and your actions. Then either a word or some other kind of action like a snotty look or our body language is a way of communicating just as much as our words. I mean, you've walked into a store and you've looked at someone who's given you the evil eye, or that we used to call it the stink eye. I'm giving you the stink eye, man. You can tell a lot about people's attitudes by their body language as well as what comes out of their mouth. The problem with free speech, as I said before, is that yes, we have it, but do we realize that what we're saying can hurt people and it can come back and it affects you whether you know it or not? So the question is does everything need to be said even though we have free speech? There are ways to say things without being negative towards someone else. Let's say, for example, you have a completely opposite view from someone else, and they say something, and you just come at them like a fire hose. You just want to blast them out of the thing. What is the point of doing that? Why is it that we feel that we have to go after that person? There's one of two reasons, and I know one of them well because I did it. And that was, if we're not feeling comfortable in our own skin, then we get a sense of feeling better about ourselves when we attack someone else. The other thing that happens is what I call projection, where you project onto people what you are doing yourself. Meaning that you're doing something that you don't like. It's all subconscious. Subconscious. I can say the word correctly. It's all unknown to you. You're not really thinking about it, but it's a behavior. It's something that we've practiced that's just become inherent to who, excuse me, who we are. And then, excuse me again, then we start behaving and just acting out those things without realizing that we're actually doing it. And so that's how projection comes in. We don't like the behavior in ourselves. And when we recognize that in someone else, we come at it. I'm going to stop this for a second just so I can cough or get a drink of water. Okay, we're back. You know how that tickle just gets in as soon as you turn the microphone on? Anyway, the whole point is we have to be very careful about what comes out of our mouth because it can have an adverse effect on us individually. And I know that because been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, even have my, what do you call this, tie-dye on today? Um, I'm speaking out of experience, um, of which everything that happens to us in life, if we choose to learn from it, we can graduate to the next grade level of maturity, hopefully. But going back to the whole part about free speech, yes, free speech is free, but what's it going to cost you to say that? We should be saying words that don't tear others down. We should be saying things that encourage them to rethink the position without attacking them. If you look at YouTube, you look at Facebook, X, which is formerly Twitter, Instagram, and all these other places where people communicate. It's real easy when you can't be face to face to come at somebody with a comment. I mean, in my book, if you can't say it to somebody face to face, then don't say it at all. We somehow feel empowered when we can say something, especially if we disagree with it. There's a lot of people I completely disagree with, but I'm friends with. I find the areas where we can agree, and we talk about those, and we even have discussions about the things that we disagree. But when you mutually respect one another for who they are as people, then you can come together and have a discussion about things. I mean, so for example, let's say you have a politician who one day they lie about something and the next day they tell the truth. Okay, so the day that they lie, you go into the YouTube channel or the Facebook or whatever and said, you lied about blah, 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 blah. All right, my question is why? What's the point of pointing that out to them? That's an attack. Instead, we could say something like, well, yesterday you said this and today you said this. Can you clarify what you mean? Now that's very different. You're asking them to come back and say something that makes a little bit more sense. Now, trust me, I don't believe the same way today that I did like 10, 15, even 20 years ago. And I'm sure that if I was going for political office of some kind, that everybody would dig up all the dirt that they possibly could about me because they want to drag me down and make me look bad, especially if they disagree with me. My question is, why do we have to do that? Even though, yes, speech is free in the United States anyway, we have the freedom of speech. We can say what we want when we want to say it, and we don't care who we're hurting. But we also don't realize the person we're hurting the most is ourselves. Because words create. There's energy behind your thoughts. There's energy behind your intentions, and there's energy behind your words. They create a frequency. There's negative frequencies, there's positive frequencies. Positive thoughts, negative thoughts. If you're constantly filling yourself with all this negativity, eventually it's going to settle into your body and you're going to have a lot of physical problems. And that can be reversed by intending to be more positive about things. For example, this morning, I'm making my cup of coffee in my little thing, and I accidentally dropped the thing that had the old coffee grounds in it, and they went all over the floor. And I'm sitting here thinking, oops. Then I went, oh, it's an opportunity to clean my floor. Here, I'll just sweep up the floor. So I moved a bunch of things around and swept up the floor. Now, 5 years ago, it might have been a different response, but I'm practicing reframing the thoughts that originally come into my mind so that they come out on the other end so that they don't have a negative effect on other people or on me. Now, of course, I'm still practicing. I'm not perfect. There are going to be times I'm going to probably say some really stupid stuff, and then I'm going to regret it about 2 seconds after I say it. But here's the other thing I'm finding out. And I used to do this when I was teaching in my classes. I tell my students, if you lie, the students are going to know it. You might as well, or if you make a mistake, they're going to know it and they're going to eat your lunch. Now that they tell you in education classes, oh, don't ever let your students know that you were wrong. And I'm sitting here thinking, excuse me? And I'd sit through these ed classes going, no, those kids are going to eat you alive. And they do. So I made a practice and I taught this. If I make a mistake, I'm like, oh, darn, Miss H just messed up. How many of you guys caught that? Good. That means you were paying attention. Then immediately it diffuses the entire situation. And I taught that to all of my students. If you make a mistake, own it, because then that is going to make people respect you even more. And so all of this ties in together with free speech. Yes, it's free, but it comes at a cost. What price are you willing to pay for the words that come out of your mouth? And I leave you with that thought to ponder on.